Hello, Captains. It's me, TONIK TZW, and yes, you are looking at the screen correctly. I am indeed in a legendary tier battleship. I'm in the American Vermont, emblazoned in the stars and stripe camo. This one's called Slow and Steady. It was very slow and very steady, and it's one of the reasons that I don't play a lot of high tier battleships. I know people like to sit out there and spam from range and do big damage scores and everything, but I always try to play for the win. And because I don't play legendary battleships that much, although I have had some fun in the Preußen and the Montana over the last couple of nights as well, um, I'm gonna be very cautious in what I'm doing here, and I am going to cover the destroyer because there is only one destroyer in the game. And guys, I'm going to say it again. The team with destroyers left to do the spotting, and especially in domination capturing, is generally the one that wins with the changes that they made to the spotting mechanics. So cover your destroyers, keep them alive, and they will do what they can to win the game for you. Now, I didn't realize that I had HE loaded at the start of this game, but it's actually going to do our destroyer a huge favor because we take just over 4k off that summoner, nearly 4.5k actually, and we knock out his torpedo tubes, we knock out his gun, we knock out his motor and his rudder, and that gives our destroyer the opportunity to get rid of that guy. So I think Bob Ross calls that a happy mistake. Um, having HE loaded at the start, but we did a good job of taking down the destroyer. Now I'm going to switch across to AP, I think, while I'm behind this island, or am I going to try and take a shot at this Musashi? No, we're going to try and take a shot at the Musashi and get a fire on them. Front turrets only, and now we switch to armor piercing. Now, I'm really not going to travel far in this game. I'm going to move between the same couple of grid squares, and I'll explain the reason for that as the match goes on, because the cruiser that's way across there on the left flank is going to be pinging the map and say, hey, mate, what are you doing there? Push forward. But there's a reason that I don't push forward. Oh, look, there's a Preußen, and I'm trying to get the sights on here. He's traveling slowly. He may be going to stop, so we drop the shots to the rear a little bit, and we're going to give him a beautiful, beautiful little tickle and take around 40% of his hit points. We had 7 penetrations and 1 over penetration there. Um, we took, what's that, 43,000 hit points off him in one salvo. And yeah, he's changed his mind about sitting where he was going to sit. We've now got the Musashi. And if you look, I'm using the islands to cover me. Now I am spotted. That is the Preußen, but he's shortly going to go out of range. So we're going to gun our engines and push in to this island and drop that spot. But the Musashi has gunned his engines too, and that means that we miss a full salvo out there. Our destroyer is zipping backwards and forwards. I think it's a Dalian that's out there on the flank as well. We've got the defense, and what I'm trying not to do here is to put myself into a crossfire because there's a lot of ships out in front of me. And if you look, all the guys that went off to the right hand side, they've realized that obviously there's one destroyer in the game. Red team's is dead. There's no risk of torpedoes, and they can afford to close in a little bit. But I'm just thinking, is this defense going to stop in a smoke screen? No, he's speeding up again. And one of the things that it does take me a while to get used to in playing these big legendary battleships is the time of flight of the shells, because you'll see there I aimed more like I would have done for a cruiser or a destroyer. I didn't give him anywhere near enough lead. But we've got the Janan. We're looking, is he in range? Are we going to get torpedoes on? He's going away from us. We're looking for a target. The Worcester is out there as well. We're going to try for 2 turrets on the Worcester, I think. But again, we're probably not going to lead him enough. We lead him a little bit more, but he's going to see those ones coming. Masashi, I think, has just fired at me. So rather than sit still, we'll continue to back up. There we go. The Worcester has gone. The Preußen, another full health Preußen out there. He's cutting across to try and counter blue team from pushing on that right flank. And I'm just thinking about what I need to do here. The defense is pushing our cruiser. And like I said, that guy's going to get a little bit annoyed with me because of where I'm at. I've moved basically, I think, entirely within 1 grid square at the moment. But we're going to do this guy a favor and we're going to get rid of this defense. And there we go. We fire 2 shots. We look at the flight of the shells. We lead a little bit more. And that second set of turrets does the job. Our destroyer is still trying to hunt this Musashi out there, and I'm looking, do I go for the Preußen? Do I go for the Musashi? Can I get 2 turrets at each of them? That's the question. How much do we need to lead? He's angling out a little bit, so we lift and fire, but I think he's going to turn out of those. And now we are going to eventually start moving forwards. But we've got an accuracy build on this, and you can see the shells are flying quite tight. And I think that's what gave us that absolute clattering of 43,000 damage off that original Preußen. I couldn't understand why we couldn't see the Musashi here, but then I realized there's a very small island between him and the destroyer. He does take a shot at us, and believe it or not, but that is the first hit points that we've lost in this game, and we are more than halfway through it. So I've done well to preserve my hit points, and now I can become, I don't want to say aggressive, a little bit more offensive. So here comes the Musashi. He's angled away. He can't see us because look at our detection ring. This is how I've been playing smart, getting the shot in, and then getting my turn back in on the bow before he can get his turrets onto me and put the shot in. But he's turned out again, and I'm thinking, is our DD going to torpedo him? What's going on here? There's the Worcester kiting away, spamming HE. We've got 10 seconds for reload. There we go. We managed to tank a little bit of damage from the Musashi again. And now that he can't see us, we can put some shots onto this Worcester, who thinks he's quite safe where he is, because there's other people spotting for him. The Musashi is turning and running, and the Worcester is about to head back to port for another 8,900 damage. We're on 66k. It's not a huge amount so far, but we are now going to start to push the flank. So as I said, this is a very slow and steady game. I'm thinking about my position. I'm thinking about red team's location. We're going to put a shot across the top there, front turrets only. I don't know what's going to happen there. Are we going to get a hit? Probably not, because it looks like he's turned out again. Nope, no hit on that one, but the next one is going to be a good one. The cruiser is now pulled in behind me. I think it's pretty low health, but we can now start to push this flank because red team are retreating, blue team are making a good push there on the right flank. Our destroyer is pushing for the cap, and look, this Musashi again, he's just on the limit of detection for me, but he's turning to get his bow into the cap. He disappears. That kind of fluffs me up a little bit, but it's going to do me a favor because he is going to be a little bit more broadside when he appears again. So turrets out, we're going to turn, get our bow in. We can see the Wisconsin there. He disappears, but he takes a double citadel for, what's that? Got to be about 36,000 damage. Double citadel, 36k. I'm happy with that one. We continue to push. I'm waiting for the reload for the Wisconsin, but he is getting absolutely pounded. We're not even going to get a shot on him. I think we've got two Preussens and the Musashi there as we lose our Friedrich de Grosser. This ship is not fast by any means. But I can see the cruiser is going up into smoke there. So I'm going to turn to the right, try and get past the corner of that island. So even as a battleship, if nobody else is spotting this guy, we're going to try and do what we can and get some shots on that Musashi again. And then hopefully we can keep him spotted through the gap. Yep, not quite long enough. We get 4 over penetrations, 2 hits. We're up to just under 117,000 damage, and I'm thinking that Napoli can finish that guy off. Can we get one more shot in on him? No, we got Preußen here, we got a Preußen there, we got Preußens flipping everywhere. But this guy doesn't appear to be angled very well to me. I'm cautious of the guy off on my left again, that Masashi. So we're going to just look for that Masashi and see, is he turning to fire on us? Always keep an eye on targets, because I think that I should be safe with that island behind me. But there we go. Look, he does manage to get across the top. So turning back into him probably saved me a little bit there. Preußen 1 and Preußen 2, Bill and Ben. Torpedoes running on the Preußen. We've got 4 seconds for a reload. We're almost to the capture point. It looks like he's going to start turning in here. So I'm just trying to gauge that. Where are we going? We're going to go there. And then the 2 back turrets we're going to put onto the other Preußen. And I'm not sure if I remembered if I had a spotter plane available here. Let's see. We lead him. He's pretty broadside. When we do pop the spotter plane, but it looks like he's going to continue his turn. We get a tickle on him. We're looking at the Musashi, although the sighting ring basically screws us up a little bit. The Musashi is still shooting at me, even though there's probably much better targets, but the Napoli takes him down, which leaves this Preußen as the last man standing in the game. The blue team have played exceptionally well. We got rid of that destroyer at the start, and that is my 3rd kill of the game, along with 2 assists, just under 162,000 damage. A couple of fires there from the Vermont, but that was that HE salvo on the destroyer at the start. So all in, I don't think that was a bad game for me. It was a new personal best in the Vermont. We topped the board, which surprised me quite a lot. I was expecting to finish mid-board there. But there's Sumner. There he is, bottom of the board. Sorry, buddy. But when there's 1 DD, we're going to take you out. And there are my stats for the Vermont. I've played 13 games, that being the 13th. Unlucky for some, unlucky for red team. But a personal best for damage and a personal best for base XP. So I was happy to walk away from that one. So it just goes to show, you might think I'm a DD man, but when it comes to playing the big ships, I apply what I know about game mechanics, and I can actually do a decent job of it. So until next time, guys, take care of yourselves and goodbye.